Camera.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to our next Facecast in our series of Facecasts. And this one's about AutoCAD LT for Mac, which we just launched last week.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it was a hell of a week last week.
Yeah,
We did
busy.
a few new product launches. We had AutoCAD 2012 came to market, the introduction of LT 2012, and the introduction of AutoCAD WS for Mac. It was some good stuff. So I think here today we're going to talk a little bit about LT specifically. And probably the biggest thing you'll notice right off the bat is that it's on the Mac App Store, which is a big change for us. So why don't we just dive right in, and
Let's do it.
show you what we got here. So switching to the screen here, bring up the App Store. And those of you who are not familiar with the Mac App Store, it's very similar to the iTunes App Store where you get your iPhone and iPad apps. But this one's specific to Mac applications, so it's a little bit different. But in 10.6.6 and on, as well as in Lion, the Mac App Store is available here. So you can get any kind of app, so video games or whatever. You can even, you can see that AutoCAD LT is featured here. So if a user just logs in, you can click on this, or you can even just type in, AutoCAD LT, and you'll go straight to that page here. You can see that AutoCAD LT for Mac is available in the United States and Canada. We're looking to roll out worldwide a little bit later, but in the US and Canada you can bring this up right now, even while you're online, and check out our description about what's in the product and what you can read about. You can see some screenshots, flip between different things that are available, and we'll actually give you a live demo here in a second. But some of the interactive help that we have, and all that kind of good stuff. And LT is as many of you will recall, is kind of the 2D version of our flagship desktop application, AutoCAD. So LT's got a few differences between 3D modeling, materials, rendering, automation,
Customization, yeah.
So from the App Store, you click this link. I'm not going to charge Chris Hession's computer here $900, but you've already got it going. But why don't we just jump right over to that? So we got it here in the dock, and we will launch into LT. So a few things you'll probably notice. Let me minimize the toolbar here. You've got our sort of getting started window, so there's various videos about the interface, things that you can do, printing, a little bit of introduction. It's designed for people who've never really used AutoCAD before. And those of you who are familiar with AutoCAD will notice a few differences kind of right away. Like when AutoCAD starts, it tends to start fully docked. It has the property palette, the layers palette, all that stuff fully docked to the sides. This is a much more sort of simple, straightforward kind of approach. So if you get your canvas and it's not really maximized, and you'll notice some of these icons are bigger, and less windows are open in general, and you get sort of your floating status bar. So in general, I said that there are a few differences between AutoCAD and LT. So there's no 3D modeling, it's just 2D, no extension. But we did change a few sort of defaults. So if you go into the options dialog, you can see that we changed, well, I'll use the search functionality. So if I want to look for icon size here, you can see that we've got different sizes of icons that we can put in the toolsets palette. So we made these a little bit bigger for those sort of non-expert kinds of users. When you do that, the buttons resize to much bigger values. We also did things like selection behavior. So like if you do a line, a series of lines, if you're familiar with AutoCAD, when you select a line, when you select the next line, it's additive in regular AutoCAD, but in something like a Finder, if you just bring up random Finder, when you select one application, it deselects the other one. So you actually have to hit Control, I think Shift actually, to select multiple items. And so that's very similar to how it works in LT, which is a bit more Mac-like. A lot of our other AutoCAD users will recognize right away that the command line is not visible by default. So it's still there. All the 2D stuff is still there, but it's not immediately available. So if you're really missing it, you can just type command line. You'll also notice our autocomplete, command line autocomplete here. So you don't have to memorize all these commands. You can get sort of close, and then you'll bring up the command line like this. You can float it around. You can make it bigger. Whoops. One thing you'll also notice if you're an AutoCAD user, in the system preferences, if you use your F keys a lot, I think under keyboard, you can use all F1 and F2 standard keyboards. If you use snaps or ortho or anything like that, you don't have to use the function key. So regardless of which way you flip this, by default, the function keys are actually things like expose and the dashboard and stuff like that. This will flip it so that they're really the F keys, which AutoCAD will respond to. So anyway, so things like F2 for AutoCAD users, it shrinks and expands the command window, which you can then grab and dock and subsequently shrink or whatever you like. What else? So we've done a lot of things inside of AutoCAD. So we've got a bunch of multifunction grips. So I can just mouse over that and it'll contextually ask me things about how I want to, what I want to do with this line or stretch or lengthen. If I want to go to a layout, we've added things like the layout visor. So if I want to change page setup or whatever, we try to give you the right interface contextually in the context that you're in. Right. So with that, that's kind of the general walkthrough of LT. It's the same kind of LT that you would know and love and expect on Windows. So all the 2D line work, layer groups, ref edit, a lot of the things we've added in 2012 for AutoCAD, are all the associative array functionality are all in there. So with that, why don't we start taking a few questions? We heard
sure. Yes, the first question here. So you mentioned that AutoCAD LT for Mac is virtually the same feature-wise as AutoCAD LT. So is it the same, or are there differences?
So there's a few little differences. The way I tend to describe it is it's kind of a Venn diagram of things that are in AutoCAD for Mac that are also in LT for Windows. That's AutoCAD for Mac and LT for Windows are going to be in LT for Mac. So we don't have certain features in AutoCAD for Mac. You're probably not going to see it in LT for Mac. But if it's available in AutoCAD for Mac, you will see it, with the exception of 3D extensibility.
Customization, that kind of stuff.
Great. So AJK Florida has a couple of great questions here. The first one is, when will Autodesk be offering a subscription service for AutoCAD LT for Mac? Or will they?
Good question. So right now the only version of LT is available in the Mac App Store. So as such, we're kind of subject to their rules. And Apple has not offered a subscription program on the Mac App Store right now. There actually is one on the iOS store for iPhones and iPads. So like on the New York Times, you can subscribe and then you get the issues for free as they come up. But that capability is not available on the Mac App Store just yet. What we have seen in the past is that Apple kind of brings things up to the Mac App Store. So in-app purchases with the release of Lion made it from iOS to Mac OS X. So we would kind of expect the subscription functionality to become available in the Mac operating system, Mac App Store, sometime in the future, but they haven't really told us when that is. So when that becomes available, we'll probably look at that pretty seriously. But it is a little bit different than the traditional subscription that we have with Subscription Center and automatic renewals, and it's kind of a different animal, but we'll try and see how we can play nice with that.
So does that mean that you'll be doing product updates and service packs through the Mac App Store?
Absolutely. That's one of the requirements of being in the store, is that you have to do updates through that. So all of our service packs and product updates will go through the Mac App Store. So you get the little red circle, just like you do on your iPhone. It says, okay, you got some updates, and you say update all. We play nice in that ecosystem.
So one of our viewers out there has a really cool idea for AutoCAD. How does that person share it with you?
Excellent. So why don't I switch back to my screen here. So in the Mac App Store, one of the things we're trying is a little bit more sort of direct to customer kind of support. So if you go back to the Mac App Store page, go back to LT, you'll notice over here AutoCAD LT support, but a little bit more than support, we've launched our Get Satisfaction site. So you can also just go there through getsatisfaction.com/AutoCAD LT for Mac, no spaces, all lowercase. And if it comes up here, you can see our Get Satisfaction page. So if you have an idea, which I believe is the question, you can just say, okay, share an idea. So if you've got some sort of idea, like, I would like to see PDF underlay or something like that. When you hit continue, Get Satisfaction will actually look through all of the existing requests or ideas or whatever problems that have been reported, and you can see if somebody else has had that. So when you see that kind of an idea, if somebody's already had that idea, you can give it sort of this +1, just like that, and now you can, well, I need to log in here, but you can see that you can kind of promote these ideas, kind of like Dig or some of those other online properties to get those ideas filtering to the top. And we're going to be, the entire product team is going to be on this site, answering questions, responding to your ideas, see if we can kind of help shape the future of the product together. So I think we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah, the design team's really excited to see what the user base has to kind of share, what's working, what's not working. We plan on being very involved in it and hope to kind of gain a lot of information and insight from it.
Matt, does that elephant on your shirt have any significance to the product?
No. No,
What's
it's
the code
not.
name of the next release?
Yes, the next code name is Elephant.
Yes.
No, sorry.
So what about support? How does one get support for the product?
So I think the same Get Satisfaction site is the thing we're trying out now. This is new to Autodesk, so we're still kind of figuring this out. But because we don't have normal serial numbers and that kind of stuff, nor resellers for that matter, this is all kind of a new experience for us. So my recommendation would be to go through the Get Satisfaction site, post your question, and both Matt and I are actually on this site as well as our teams, and we will be responding as best we can.
So how come you didn't use the Windows style toolbar or ribbon on the Mac? And is this something that users are going to have to relearn?
That's a good question. So when the design team was, tasked with taking what we had on Windows and bringing it to the Mac, we looked at a variety of options and design solutions, and eventually settled on not kind of bringing what's a very Windows-esque UI to the Mac OS. So that was actually a very deliberate decision to not try to kind of bring pieces of Windows over. What we did do though is we created a set of design patterns and principles that kind of for every feature we have on Windows that uses the ribbon and uses the ribbon contextual tabs, we have a corresponding set of UI in both AutoCAD for Mac and AutoCAD for Mac LT, and that consists of the toolsets palette, the visor which comes down that Rob showed earlier, and the property palette. So those three UIs kind of make up the overall user experience for what the ribbon may have offered the user on Windows. That's kind of that answer in a nutshell. I'll probably go on for a while on that one. But
We talked about that one for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So here's that second question that AJK Florida had, and that was, is there or will there be a downloadable demo version at some point?
So unfortunately not. So the Mac App Store does not allow for trials either. But what we do have is the AutoCAD 2012 trial is already available. I believe you can go to autodesk.com/AutoCAD for Mac, and I think you'll find the trial link right there. So if you kind of take the AutoCAD 2012 trial and you ignore 3D and customization, it's the same capabilities with the same product.
So you mentioned trial. Can I try AutoCAD LT for Mac before I purchase?
Nope, unfortunately not. So you've got to do the full-blown kind of thing. We've been trying to influence Apple on a few of these things, like some of our normal business processes like subscription and trials and stuff like that are not really supported in the Mac App Store just yet, so we've been trying to influence Apple to get some of these things supported on the store, and then we can make those available. But until they do, we're kind of confined by the rules of the system so far.
So what about LT for Mac being available in Germany?
So right, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's currently available in the US and Canada, but we haven't released worldwide yet, but we do intend to do that hopefully in the near future. If you're interested, I would recommend going to, if you go to the LT site here, let me switch screens. So from the Get Satisfaction site or from the LT Product Center, you can go to this link down at the bottom that says notify me when AutoCAD LT is available in my country. So when you go in there, you say, okay, Rob McGuire, Germany, yada yada, you're in. So that's so when it becomes available in Germany, you'll get emails and notified from us as to what's coming.
So one of our viewers, his name is AutoCAD Chris. He has 3 different Macs. I'm not sure why, but he has 3, and he wants to know how he might be able to put LT for Mac on all of those machines, but only purchase it once.
Sure. So one of the benefits of the Mac App Store is actually the ability to do just that. So if you have one Apple ID, like Rob McGuire, whatever, then you got your credit card affiliated with that. You buy it once, and technically you're buying it for Rob McGuire. But you can install it, I believe, up to 5 different Macintosh computers. So when you log into that other computer and you get to the Mac App Store and you log in with your Rob McGuire ID, you can just download it right again. And it won't charge you the 2nd through 4th times.
So what if I try a 6th time?
Not entirely sure. I believe it asks you to pay for it again, but I think you have to use a second account. Having the accounts are designed for people; they're not really designed for corporations. So it's a little bit odd how Autodesk normally sells things, because Autodesk will normally do a B2B kind of thing, and we'll sell to a company, and then that company distributes the software across all the seats. But with the Apple Mac App Store, it's about an individual in a company. And so that individual has the right to buy and use it on 5 machines. So if you have another individual, technically they're supposed to have a separate account, download and run it up to 5 times for them.
So one of our viewers already has AutoCAD LT for Windows, but they are interested in changing that to the Mac version. Is that possible, or do they have to buy another version?
Unfortunately, they're going to have to buy a whole nother version, because the existing licensing framework and price lists and resellers and stuff that we have for Windows doesn't transfer into the Mac App Store. So the Mac App Store is very simple, it's very clean user interface, but it's also not particularly flexible. So it's a one price for everybody kind of thing. So whether you've had previous releases or you are a customer, you're not a customer, whatever, everybody pays $8.99 in the US and Canada.
I see those nifty Autodesk mugs sitting there. Are you going to have AutoCAD LT Mac mugs next time?
I'm guessing not, but that would be my guess. I think it's, these are so cool, and everybody keeps wanting
You get a lot of
mugs.
comments on these mugs.
But yeah, and it's all about the company, right? It's about being with people like Matt that I just love to hang out with and do Facecast with. But it's not really product specific. I don't want to be locked down like that, because we do full-blown AutoCAD, we've got AutoCAD WS, and then we have to have a lot of mugs on my desk. And
This is true.
it's just simpler to have an Autodesk mug, I think. Yeah.
So there is a comment here. One person comments, AutoCAD team rocks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Do you have a response to that? Is that true?
I'll let Matt take that.
That's great to hear. I mean, the team puts a lot of work and effort and time and planning and resources to make, AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT the 2 products that they are. So it's great to hear that feedback. Definitely pass that along to the team.
Good deal. So here's another serious question. Can LT for Mac open drawings created in AutoCAD Mechanical?
It can open them, but it's got the same sort of issues like if you have AutoCAD and any vertical, like we have the object enabler framework, if you're familiar with that. So when you have custom objects through either AutoCAD Mechanical customization or even third-party customization, you need to have this little thing called an object enabler in your product so that it can understand the objects in the drawing. So if you've got some gear from AutoCAD Mechanical, it'll just show up as kind of like a series of lines. It's what we call a proxy object. It's a proxy for the real, part. And since we don't have the AutoCAD Mechanical enablers inside of AutoCAD for Mac just yet, you will see it, you can open it, but you cannot edit it in any way.
So we have a burning question here about speed. As I look at the zip line outside our window, I think of that's what I think of, speed. So is LT faster than AutoCAD, or is it the same? Are there differences?
There are definitely a few differences, but in general it is the same. So because AutoCAD LT is a 2D product, and it's the exact same code base that is AutoCAD. 2D for 2D, it's exactly the same. In 3D, you're not as graphics card dependent as AutoCAD is. So in some ways, the 3D stuff goes a lot faster. But 2012 AutoCAD LT and 2012 AutoCAD 2D are all the same speed. But the good news is they're actually faster than AutoCAD 2011 for Mac. So we've had performance increases over the last year, in addition to a bunch of stability and other great feature inclusion and stuff like that.
I think that might, actually there is one more question here. So in terms of speed again, is LT faster than AutoCAD? Oh wait, so he has a 1-year-old Mac. Can I run LT?
If it's 1 year old, you probably should be able to do it.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. We on our website we've got the official supported requirements. If you go to autodesk.com/AutoCAD LT for Mac, you can get the official list. But the kind of rough guideline is January 1st, 2009. So that's about 3 years back. So if your machine is within about 3 years, you should be able to run AutoCAD LT. The one caveat to that is you do need, since it requires the Mac App Store, the Mac App Store itself requires 10.6.6, so that's Snow Leopard with the 6th service pack, or Lion. So because then you get the App Store and then you can buy it, otherwise you can't actually get it onto your computer in any way. So you got to at least meet the system requirements for that, which I think are actually a little bit stricter.
There are a few questions here about plugins. Are there any plugins for AutoCAD or AutoCAD LT on the Mac?
So AutoCAD LT, both Windows and Mac, does not support plugins. That's one of the primary differences between LT and AutoCAD is its extensibility. So there are no plugins available, nor likely will there be in the near future plugins for LT for Windows or Mac. But then on full-blown AutoCAD, we have the Object-ARX development framework as well as Lisp support, and there are several routines. So a lot of the Lisp routines on Windows will actually run on Mac without modification. And then we've got a few apps that are currently available. So we have one that's from a company called OFC Desk. So they make a sort of office furniture, kind of an ERP management system. So once you have your drawing of the floor plan of this office, you can use OFC Desk software to figure out how many chairs you need. They have the exact part numbers. You can manage that in your facilities management application, and get sort of fully integrated from the drawing to the database to purchasing, the whole 9 yards.
So what's next? Are you going to do anything with touch screens? Are you going to do, I don't know, any new inventions? Where do you go from here?
I don't know. Unfortunately, our lawyers won't allow us to tell us what we're really going to do, but there are some cool things, especially with the multi-touch technology. Like I got to say, the more I use the touchpad, the more I'm addicted. And anybody who's used Lion, I would encourage you to go to the Advanced Gestures tab. So you can do a lot of stuff at the launch pad and switching between windows and full screen, all with your hand. You don't actually have to use the keyboard at all. It takes a little bit getting used to, but it's a lot faster once you get used to it. So yeah, I've been encouraging the design team to think outside the box. What can we do?
I think in the next 5 years, you're going to see a lot of advancements just with gestural-based, interactions, whether it's on a trackpad or just in the air using something like a Connect. Lots of really cool stuff going on, and we're definitely looking at opportunities to bring that into the CAD experience.
Yeah, and I would encourage everybody to go on our lab site. So labs,
lots of cool stuff out there.
Yeah, like especially things with like cameras and laser scanning and really new and interesting ways to bring data into CAD packages like AutoCAD. So I think as we, some of those things on labs mature, you'll start seeing those popping up in the product over time.
I think that's a wrap.
All right, thanks a lot.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.